aftershock, and that is just north of this Interstate 5 and 14 interchange, and that dust kicks up. We see small ones every now and then kick up, but that one was a good jolt. In fact, I was standing close to the edge here looking down onto this interchange collapse that's right below me here, and I immediately jumped off from this edge and back further in so that I, not knowing exactly what was going to happen. But yes, we did see a military helicopter land just south of us on the freeway. We saw some military types get out, and they have walked their way up here. It appears that everybody is standing by. We saw two vehicles head in that direction, apparently to pick up the governor and bring him up here. But it has been a few minutes since we saw the chopper land. We're not sure what the delay is and how soon we might see the governor. But as soon as he does appear here, obviously he's going to be making some sort of a statement about what he sees, because this is so dramatic. Our pictures from here, I don't even know if they can tell you exactly what we're seeing. It's just spectacular is one word for it, I suppose, and the fact that we've seen heavy concrete just twisted and crushed and dropped right onto this Interstate 5. And certainly as soon as we see the governor, we'll be bringing that right back up to you.
Rick, we have, in the wake of an aftershock, do a pretty good job of showing you showing our viewers what is happening, but try to give us an idea what it sounded like there a few moments ago when things started shaking again.
Well, we've got some tremendous wind here every now and then that cuts through here. Yes. In fact, this particular
we're
one
having another one
is a good size. That is very good size. We can hear a rumble as it comes through. I just saw some concrete drop.
Okay. It's still continuing. There it's reading on the quake cam. You see, we're
reading
still
off the
feeling.
quake cam on
This is off the quake. It's the longer one. It's more of a rolling jolt than the earlier ones felt perhaps this morning.
Rick, are you still with us?
Yes, I certainly am. But
You, that one seemed to shake you a bit.
I am. I'm standing on this edge. I'm not sure that I'm making the right.
Well, move back a bit.
But yeah, in fact, it was a rolling motion, and then we could hear concrete chips just dropping off of the edge. And the different sections of the freeway that have already made some, that have created damage here. And then, of course, you could see the dirt that kicks up from the hillside, and that continues. Landslides, we've seen major rocks, sized rocks on the highway further north here when we did do some traveling.
Now, we have just experienced, what, about 4 in the last hour that have been reasonable size that we could certainly feel.
The one about an hour ago was a 5.5, and we felt at least 2 more since then that felt that strong or better. Rick, as best you can tell, the military helicopter, was Governor Wilson in that, or is it still to be determined?
Well, I can tell you that it is not an absolute fact that he is in that particular helicopter, but judging by the activity that we've seen ever since that helicopter landed, the military types that have come up and joined the media, and the media all collecting and setting up as if they are waiting for somebody. And we're, of course, up a little bit higher and unable to make contact initially with the people down below. But we've got an excellent vantage point, one that no other television station has, of this particular damage, and that's why we are here. But we will go down as soon as we see the governor and be there and make contact with him.
Okay, Rick, we're going to break away because I think you moved just enough that we can probably do a good job of fixing your audio signal up. So stay there and let us know when the governor gets back, and we'll go back full screen live to the quake cam. And you can see that that we've had a pretty good stretch there, and we're still seeing a little bit of activity there. We'll have to do our best to get back to Caltech and find out exactly how hard this one shook.
And again, we have to keep in mind, a lot of people in this region still don't have power. It's coming on slowly. So if you're just joining us, it has been a very long day here in Southern California. It began at 4:31 this morning when the 6.6 quake hit in the Northridge area. Since then, we've had hundreds of aftershocks. The most recent that we know, we have not had the reading on actually the most recent one, which is about a minute and a half ago, but at 3:34 it was 5.5. We can guess that these others were close to that. There has been just a tough day all in all for everybody here. Everyone's been touched by this, whether your home is standing or not. There's been a lot of life lost, 24 people all in all, 14 alone at one apartment complex when the lower level collapsed. And it keeps going on tonight. A curfew, we should say, will be in effect in LA County at dusk. So again, another reason to stay at home. You do not need to go out. Just stay where you are and it's the safest place to be.
Especially on the surface streets because of the power outages. There are no traffic lights, and it's just not a good night to go out and sightsee. There'll be plenty to see in the days to follow and plenty to do in the days to follow.
And we can bring in the pictures in the
yeah,
meantime,
exactly.
so stay at home and let us do it for you.
Charmaine Wilkerson has been at a supermarket in Van Nuys. And Charmaine, hopefully this is not a sign of the times with this line out there, but hopefully it's just something unique going on. Please fill us in.
Well, we're everywhere that we have gone. Whenever there has been a store open, whether it be from in Northridge or in Sherman Oaks, you will see a crowd gathering. But if I can just, you see that this is a long line. If we can just take a look over here, you see it extends out to the end of the parking lot. This particular store had a longer line than we've seen at most. A lot of these people say that they had been to another Hughes supermarket here in the Van Nuys area looking for goods, and they were told they could only get emergency supplies, and many of them would like a little more than just bread or water, and so they've come here. Perhaps I could talk to you here. We're live on Eyewitness News, and you've been waiting online for how long now?
About 10, 15 minutes.
And what are some of the kinds of things that drew you out here? You're obviously willing to wait in line for a while.
You know, I didn't prepare for an earthquake. The house isn't stocked very well, so we're going to try to pick up some of the basics to keep going for a few days.
By basics, what are the things that you're talking about?
Well, water is one of the things, basic dairy products, breakfast stuffs, and things like that. A few meals, a few dinner meals, you know, just to keep going until things open up again. The restaurants are all closed.
Did you kind of look around for a supermarket before this?
We went over to another Hughes that was down the street, and they were closed up. They were letting 1 or 2 people in at a time just to pick up water and small items, and they said that this one was open, more or less full service. So that's why we came over here.
Did you expect this crowd?
No.
Okay, thanks. Let's take a look at this pair here, father and son.
Yes.
And what are you guys here to get?
Batteries, water, necessities.
I see you have your flashlight, batteries mostly for your flashlights and
Yes.
radios.
Definitely.
Did you feel that, given the earthquake, that you were pretty well prepared if you really weren't able to come out here?
We had enough at home, but we weren't prepared. No way. It's devastating.
And so now coming here and seeing this line, is this about what you expected?
Yes, definitely. Everybody needs stuff. They're afraid of it happening again. So just taking care of the little ones. That's the important part.
Good luck to you both. What about you folks? How far have you gone in looking for a place to get some of the things you need for home?
This is our first trip here, so we've been pretty fortunate to stand in line. And okay, thank you. And we're just going to get some provisions just to sustain us till things get better.
We noticed that as we talked to you, the line moved up and a fellow sort of just said to you, "I'll hold your place." Definitely people being considerate. What have you seen in your neighborhood in terms of people pulling together?
Well, in our apartment building that we live in, everybody pretty much got together and kind of supported each other and talked to each other, and we're all there. Coffee was brought out and everything else, so the camaraderie was there. So, and I guess in crisis like this, like, people have a tendency to pull together and work as a team.
Okay, good luck to you. Get your space in line there. Just want to take one more look at the Hughes supermarket before we go, because these people are waiting online, but the supermarket was not untouched by the earthquake. You can see that there are some boards up here against the glass, and you know that earthquake that rolled, the aftershock rather, that rolled through just a short while ago while you were on the air with another reporter. We definitely felt it here. The glass windows you're looking at now vibrated and shook, and we all said, stand back from the glass. So this supermarket, like many other businesses and of course homes, has certainly seen its damage, but inside it looks pretty good, and it certainly appears well stocked, and these people are looking forward to picking up a few extra goods if they can before nightfall.
Charmaine,
yes.
I'm sorry, before we leave you, the lights are on inside that store, so we can assume they have refrigeration. We'd heard some reports earlier in the day, and I don't know, you've been out kind of on the supermarket beat, where there was one Vaughn store over in the valley that was giving away meat because the power was out and the meat was just sitting there waiting to spoil. So they were trying to, as orderly as possible, do that. But I don't know. It seems like everybody seems to have a pretty good spirit right now in that line.
That's right. This shop is in good shape, and I think what's happening is that depending upon the block that you visit, the power is on. We see the traffic lights are on. Much of the day we've traveled for miles without seeing a power light on. But as time goes by, power is being restored to some areas. Even though you might have, ironically, an entire city of Santa Barbara without power, we're seeing in areas with a lot of damage, even where I live, where we're seeing structural damage and contents damage, the power was actually on part of the way through the day, even though there are water problems. So you're seeing block by block some differences, and in this case, it's benefiting these people.
Okay, Charmaine, thank you for that.
Sure.
There have been reports that there is no shortage in terms of food in Southern California.
Right.
So this isn't a situation where people are panicking and trying to gather what they can. These are people who either didn't have enough because they didn't prepare at home, or perhaps are just anxious about the next few days, and this is just a way to make them feel a little bit better.
And we're going to have enough aftershocks over the next 24, 48 hours that if your nerves don't get completely frayed, you'll develop an immunity to it and hopefully somewhat of a sense of humor.
We have a report that this last aftershock, or one of them, registered approximately a 5 on the Richter scale. Jeff Michael is out at Caltech. Jeff, can they explain why it seems in the last hour we've had so many of these strong aftershocks?
I'm sorry, can they explain what, Marianne?
Can they explain why in the last hour or so we seem to have had so many of these strong aftershocks?
No, they can only say at this point that they told you so. They said that it would happen. They said that we could expect a 5.5 Temblor, an aftershock. In fact, that happened, but then I don't know if I haven't had the opportunity to be listening to everything you said. I don't know if you know that that's been downgraded to a 5.3, which means that it's still very possible that we can expect a 5.5. I think you just said, and the preliminary findings that we just got here at Caltech is that that aftershock we just felt was a 5.0, and they expect 5.0s to continue probably through the night. Every once in a while, they say that's something you can expect from a Temblor the size of a 6.6.
Jeff, you know, Harold Green pointed something out. It's interesting that that on a normal day in Southern California, we'd be all over a 5.0, and now it's kind of ironic. We're just looking at these as aftershocks right now.
Exactly. I think that the 5.0, if we were to feel it by itself, would certainly be considered something to be reckoned with. In a case like this, I think we all know that it's not going to be as bad as the 6.6. The reason for that, Steve, is because they have now finally been able to rule out, because of time, that 6.6 was not a foreshock to anything greater, and certainly this was not along the San Andreas Fault. This was along a smaller fault. It's called a thrust plate, if you will, about 10 miles underground under Northridge, and so at this point, we're all pretty comfortable with the idea of a 5.0. The problem, however, according to an engineer and a chairman of the California Seismic Safety Commission, is that when those 5.0s hit, what are they going to do to those freeway sections that have already fallen and the freeway sections adjacent those? Obviously, those freeways were not retrofitted well enough after the 1971 San Fernando earthquake to sustain a 6.6, so who knows what's going to happen with a 5.0. Apparently, from the video that we've been seeing here on our air from Newscopter 7, nothing has happened thus far. And we're all keeping our eyes on that computer model as you have been as well, just to see where this latest aftershock is hit.
Jeff, we're glad that you're there to kind of translate this for us, because we got the statement from Caltech a little while ago, and I've got it here in my hand, and we read it over, and it looks like it's in another language. So thanks for straightening it all out and putting it to us in English and letting us know what's happening.
So in other words, as unnerving as all this is, it's to be expected. Yeah. It's what they have said will happen, and indeed it is happening.
And as time goes on, Marianne, they should decrease.
We can only hope.
Once again, we're looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of aftershocks within the next couple of weeks to come.
Okay, we'll just brace ourselves. Thank you, Jeff, for that. John North now is in Granada Hills, where people are camping out. They are simply afraid to go back into their homes or to leave the area. John?
Hi, Marianne. Actually, we've moved to North Hollywood. We're at Valley Plaza Park. You're seeing some chicken barbecuing there. In this park, there are literally hundreds of people, hundreds of cars, hundreds of people, some of whom haven't even gone back to their homes and don't intend to, at least not until some of these intense aftershocks end. Let's go down here and talk to somebody. Can we talk to you? Can we talk to you? Sure. Okay. Is it true you haven't been back to your house yet?
Nope, I haven't.
Why not?
Because all the aftershocks, I've been here.
When did you come out here?
I've been out since 4:30 in the morning when I was there sleeping.
So you came out here right away?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. I hope everything's okay. Or go over here, Wally. Guys, don't step on our cables, please. You can see, if you can see back there in the park. Could I talk to you two? What's your name?
Ralph Torres.
And?
Raphael.
Let's go over here at first, Raphael. You live across the street in the apartment?
Yes, I do.
Why'd you come over here?
Well, because basically the cables and the trees, it's right in the middle where nobody there's basically no trees or anything. Basically, it's out safe out of the area. So as long as you get away, because all the cracks in the houses, I mean, the place was shaking really, really bad. Just want to get everybody here as fast as possible and basically just get them out.
Kind of started this morning, didn't you, when you moved your cars over here to get them out of the garages?
Oh, yeah, right after the earthquake itself, the big tremor, we all decided to come over here, anticipating an aftershock, which has been consistent all day. So basically, we're still here, and we're not in a rush to go back because even up to about 5 minutes ago, there were tremors we were feeling.
So you're going to stay out here for a while until it calms down?
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Okay.
Until we're for sure that it's safe.
All right, thank you all very much. We're again at Valley Plaza Park. We're in North Hollywood. There are hundreds of people here, and since it's getting a little rowdy, we're going to bail out. But they're all planning on staying here for a while. Some of whom, as you've heard, have not even been back to their places. There are apartments that line the street here. We're at the corner of Van Owen and Whitsett, and many of the apartments have sustained quite a bit of damage. Reporting live from North Hollywood, I'm John North. Back to you.
John North, thank you for that live report. It is 5 o'clock in Southern California. Harold Green and I and Ann Martin. This is Eyewitness News, our continuing coverage, and it's not over yet. 12 and a half hours after a deadly, destructive earthquake shook this city awake, aftershocks continue to roll through Southern California. Hundreds so far. The largest aftershock came today at about 90 minutes ago, registering 5.5 on the Richter scale and raising these huge dust clouds over Southland Mountains. An earlier quake had a reading of 5.0. Mother Nature's big blow hit in the pre-dawn darkness. It measured 6.6 on the Richter scale and was centered near Northridge. As of now, the toll from this quake has been heavy, especially in the North San Fernando Valley. 24 are known dead, 5 from heart attacks, hundreds of others injured, hundreds more are homeless, property damage now listed in the millions of dollars. Fires erupted all over the North San Fernando Valley, evidence of shattered gas mains and downed power lines. Several homes were destroyed. One of the worst scenes was in Northridge, where the quake turned this 3-story complex into 2 stories. Victims were buried under tons of rubble. At least 14 were killed here, but the search for bodies continues at this hour. 3 busy freeways buckled under the pressure. An overpass at the intersection of the I-5 and 14 freeway gave way, and an LAPD motorcycle officer was thrown to his death. Other motorists were caught underneath. An overpass on the 118 collapsed, and part of the Santa Monica Freeway at La Cienega broke apart at 2 points, a third of a mile apart. Part of a Northridge shopping mall and his parking garage fell in, and firefighters finally rescued a man trapped 8 feet down. Hillside homes in Studio City were torn and pulled apart as homeowners tried to scramble to safety. A train carrying dangerous chemicals derailed, its boxcars tossed around like matchsticks. Disaster declarations have been issued by President Clinton, Governor Wilson, and Mayor Reardon. And while thousands of police and firefighters try to help the victims, the message has gone out. Boil your water, conserve your power, stay off the phones, stay home, and please stay calm. One seismologist at the U.S. Geological Survey said, "This is not the big one, but I think we'll all agree it'll do."
Harold, as you read through the damage list there, I was thinking the same thing. We've all been talking about the big one over the years. This was big enough. Let's bring you up to the minute right here at 5 o'clock. We are going to be in a state of emergency here in the city of Los Angeles, and that means that there will be curfew at dark. We've been saying all day, if you don't have to go out, don't go out. Now the city is saying, don't go out if you don't have a legitimate reason, because they'll ask you to go home, and some people may even be arrested. There's been problems with looting. 1,500 National Guards are going to be deployed this evening to make sure that looting is not a problem and to make sure that really devastated areas, people have a chance to maintain whatever they may still have intact and not have any further problems with stealing. There are no food, water, or gas shortages. Now, we've seen pictures throughout the afternoon of people lined up at grocery stores and at gasoline stations and really unhappy and angry with each other, trying to get in there and get supplies. There's plenty of supplies in the Los Angeles basin. Sit back, sit tight, and by tomorrow or the next day, things will look a little better, but don't panic and feel that you've got to get to the store. A lot of transportation has been cut off today. Metrolink is telling us that it will be back in operation tomorrow. Literally, freeway traffic has been completely severed today, and it's not possible really to get north of Los Angeles County right now because our ways north on the freeways have been pretty well cut off. Metrolink back tomorrow, though, and we can give you some word on different classes which have been canceled tomorrow. We have word here that classes at Cal State Northridge will be suspended now until January 30th. Kids are on a semester break there, but the university's new parking facility was destroyed today by the earthquake, and walls and floors damaged in other buildings. Cal State Northridge won't be back until the 30th. And we also want to tell you, and this is new to me, that schools in the Los Angeles Catholic Archdiocese will be closed tomorrow due to the earthquake. Lack of electrical power and water service has been a problem for the Catholic Archdiocesan schools, and they're going to be closed tomorrow as well. Harold.
And the students at Campbell Hall studying so diligently for finals will get an extra day because they don't have to show up tomorrow. As you read along the school closures, the LA Unified School District, all of schools will be closed tomorrow. As we continue to run through the list, we are right now out in the area where the California Aqueduct comes down to the I-5, which is behind that scene. And the water right now, it brings to my mind as we continue to show you the schools that will be closed on Tuesday. Water is a major problem in the San Fernando Valley. They have had to shut off the water, and they've brought it back online, but apparently the late word is that they are going to shut it off again because they can't get any chlorine into that water, and the pumping stations have been damaged out there. So the reminder is this: use bottled water if you can. If you have to use the tap water, it's like 8 drops of liquid bleach per gallon. That's 8 drops of liquid bleach per gallon. But being an old Boy Scout, I still like to boil it for about 20 minutes, and that does the trick for you. But water continues to be a problem. There are a number of ruptures out in the San Fernando Valley. Channel 7's Bob Banfield is at the scene of one of those right now, and we go out to him live for the very latest. Bob, where are you?
Yes, Harold, we're on Rinaldi and right in front of a pumping station, as a matter of fact. And if you'll remember, back in 71, the Van Orman Reservoir was of great concern. They thought that dam was going to break. We're right below the Van Orman Reservoir, and there was a rupture in a pipeline leading down to the distribution station from Van Orman, but the reservoir itself did not give way, but just a big pipe, and it made a big geyser of water, and it was quite exciting. And you can see some of the residue of that as people driving along Rinaldi. So you take a look at this and say, well, there's really not a water problem, but there will be a water problem, as you mentioned now. And I think that I hope I'm up to date, because we've been trying to get an MWD official here to talk to us. They said they're going to turn off the water in most of the valley today to do some repairs. And we have some tape that we've rolled just a little earlier showing you how people were coping now. They weren't going, they're using, these are overflow or relief valves, I guess, and they were just, the water was coming up from everywhere. And okay, this is the trailer park this morning that we had. We're rolling tape here, and we had a few shots from this fire that we were on in the trailer park, and water was a problem there, so we didn't see the people getting their water, and so that pretty much, it doesn't relate to what we're talking about here. They did have some problems with water there, but they tell us that they're going to close the water off at Sylmar, Pacoima, Sunland, Tahunga, Sun Valley, Chatsworth, Reseda, Northridge, and Porter Ranch. And now when you've got a situation, Harold, where you're without electricity and then you're going to be without water, it does make for a very long evening, and especially when we're going to get those aftershocks. And again, if you don't mind my pulling from my memory bank here, we went into the epicenter, looking for the epicenter of the Sylmar quake. And we stayed in a motel, I remember, and this was the longest night of my life, I think. You didn't get any relaxation at all, so hopefully the aftershocks will not be as great. But they're saying, as you mentioned, about boiling the water. That's always a good idea. I was concerned that people that were taking the water from these overflow things were going to use it for drinking water, but they seem to be aware. But these are scenes earlier today, and they've never been able to shut this thing off. So there is water leaking from, this is the geyser from a little earlier. They have contained that now, but enough water has come out of that pipeline below the Van Orman Dam that I think it has undermined some of the roads. They're doing a major repair job just up the street, where they're going to have to turn off the water, and they're quite concerned about breakage in pipes and what it's done to undermining. So I think a great deal more damage that you cannot see has been done from this earthquake, and it will not be. Here are some of the shots of people getting water out of these things, and they were putting them in little pickup trucks, and they were lining up to take this water, and hopefully they will prepare it properly, as you mentioned, with the bleach, the drops of bleach, and they seem to have some idea of what they're doing, although we did see a couple of fellas drinking right out of that, which I don't think would be such a good idea. So while there is water, and we've noticed that in the markets, that was one of the prime things that people were buying, bottled water and bread and milk and things like that. So these things were running, and I don't completely understand what their purpose is, but I assume it is a relief valve, and that means that there's a lot of water running underneath the streets that shouldn't be there. So that's pretty much the situation here. And as night comes upon us here, and the sun is dropping very, very fast, I think that it's going to be an interesting evening for the people here in the San Fernando Valley. But here, again, another shot of